pregnant with me, had my brother who was 10 at the time. She got on a bus because my dad was in Germany making money to get us to Germany out of the war. Serbs came and captured the bus and killed every male on the bus. My mother walked my brother in while she was pregnant with me for 9 nights and 10 days. Finally got to Germany. We lived in Germany for 2 years and then moved to America.
Well, the International Institute is a 95-year-old organization in the community, and we were founded after World War I to help immigrants and refugees who come to St. Louis and need help adjusting, both teaching English, helping them to find their first jobs. In the case of refugees, we've sponsored refugees. We've sponsored in total, since I've been here in the last 33 years, more than 20,000 refugees into the community ourselves. Among those then are the Bosnians. We actually sponsored about 7,000 Bosnians into St. Louis from a period of 1993 to 2001, when the official U.S. Refugee program actually closed. And so during that period then we worked with a lot of people, from Bosnia, both those who came from Germany later on and then those that came directly from Bosnia.
St. Louis has always been a multicultural city. It has been shaped by immigrants and refugees that made the city their home. Mainly made up from refugees and immigrants from Italy, Germany, Ireland, and Bosnia, St. Louis bears the mark of each of these cultures. After the World's Fair in 1904, St. Louis became a beacon for immigrants and those seeking diversity. It wasn't too long before immigrants from various different countries flooded over to create the melting pot of the Midwest. Each influx has left their distinct imprint on this great city. Immigration has significantly contributed to making St. Louis a thriving metropolis of multicultural diversity.
One of the things that people don't understand about the size of the immigrant population here in St. Louis are a couple of things. That refugees here in St. Louis in some ways are more important to the total population than they might be in other cities. And that's because if you look at the total size of the St. Louis population, St. Louis City and County, you find that our metropolitan size is, I think, about 19th in the nation out of 100 top metropolitan areas. Well, if you look at the number of refugees proportionate, you find that we're 21st in the nation. So we're very close, commensurately, according to refugee population. But you look at total immigrant population here, and we're 60th. So we have a really low percentage of immigrants here in St. Louis compared to the rest of the country. Now, where does that come into play? Well, it comes into play in a couple of ways. One is that immigrants statistically start a just disproportionately large number of businesses in this country. So if you have fewer immigrants, including refugees, then you may have fewer business startups than like kinds of areas, peer areas around the country might have. The second thing is that increasingly young people are drawn to areas where there's a lot of multicultural diversity. The interesting thing is if you look at the millennials, who are, I believe, 18 to 34 in terms of their category right now, 40% of them are non-white. So there's a tremendous amount of diversity in the younger population right now. And so they want to live in an area that looks like them, as opposed to an area that is really very plain and all, of one sort of person. And so when they get to St. Louis, either they grow up in St. Louis and they want to live somewhere else, or they come to St. Louis for a job, and then they feel like this isn't our place, because it doesn't look like us, and they want to leave. For St. Louis to really become a global partner, to be a stronger global trade partner, etc., we need to reflect the multicultural diversity in our community that matches the country and the world. We have to have the languages, we have to have the cultural understanding, so that we're able to go out there and compete foot to foot, that we can understand those countries we're trying to export to. We can understand the conversations and the negotiations, and really then make St. Louis a stronger place than it might otherwise be.
Immigrants steal jobs, you can't trust them, that they're anti-American, which all seems pretty false to me. If someone's going to come over here, they're coming over here for a reason, because the country's stable, and because they're looking for some sort of opportunity that they think America holds. I mean, which sometimes I think, if any misconception, an immigrant's going to come over here hoping that they're going to find something, and they might not expect America to be something that it is all put up to be. There's a lot of misconceptions about immigrants. A lot of them just don't have any founding.
Tako da sam sa svojom ličnom ušteđevnom otvorila biznis. Nisam ga sama otvorila, prvo sam učestvovala sa jednim prijateljom, to jeste, ti ćeš reći, to je što kažete, ne znam, kumovi, znači od moga sina njegov kumovi, i oni su bili sama par mjeseci, onda se razdvojili i mi smo jedan njihov dio novca koji su uložili s nama zajedno, njima povratili, onda smo mi ostali sami.
Well, I think especially when it comes to refugees, there were a lot of misconceptions, both about the Bosnians when they first arrived and also about refugees in general. One of them that we still hear frequently is that the U.S. government gave Bosnians thousands of dollars in order to resettle in the United States, when the truth of the matter was it was really hundreds of dollars. When refugees first arrive in this community, today, they get about $1,100 per person. I think when the Bosnians were coming, it was only about $750 per person. But for a family of four, then, they really had only, $2,000-3,000, and with that, they had to pay 2-3 months worth of rent, security deposit, bus passes, food, etc., until they either got a job or some other kind of assistance kicked in for them. And so there wasn't thousands. And along with that myth also comes another one, which is that the reason that refugees and immigrants can start a lot of businesses in this community is because they get interest-free loans. And that's not true either. In fact, many times if refugees want to be able to start businesses and need to borrow money, one of two things happens. Either in some communities, family members will pitch together and pool their money so that they can all start a business together. Or in other communities where, in the case of the Bosnians, for instance, they may have borrowed money, and if they couldn't get it from the bank because they didn't have enough collateral, a long enough work history, etc., then they might have had to go to a small micro program like we have here at the Institute to be able to help with business startups. But then they pay a higher rate of interest than they would at the banks because, they're considered slightly riskier loans. So the fact that the Bosnian businesses have done well, that other businesses have done well, it doesn't have to do with the fact that they got cheap money in the beginning. It has to do with the fact that they are very hard and diligent workers.
That people shouldn't judge immigrants from what they hear. I mean, if you want to know the full story, you need to look at both points of view. I mean, I guess they're standing on both sides of the argument, but I think basically having immigrants here is a positive thing.
Zadovoljna sam ovdje i osjećam se kao da sam i u Bosni. Možda i još slobodnije.
Well, as I said earlier, I think that it's very important that St. Louis realize that immigrants and refugees are an asset. They're the single largest population flow into an area that in 2010 noted both in the city and the county that there was population loss. One of the reasons that we're having population loss, in fact, in the city and the county, I maintain, is because we don't have enough immigration into the area. So that means we have empty apartments, and we have shops in the city that don't get enough customers, and all of these kinds of things, because we just don't have enough population to be able to fill the residential property that's around here. So population is really an important thing that immigrants bring. They also bring, as I said, the opportunity to be able to start small businesses and to hire not only themselves to make a living for themselves, but hire people in the community. And then the money they make in the businesses they take out and they spend at the grocery stores and at the gas stations, etc. And that all helps the economy as well. And then the third thing is culture. The value of culture and the ability to be able to be a globally competitive city really depends on our having a diverse population. And so, being a foreign-born individual in St. Louis should be something that everybody looks to you and really supports. And I think by and large they do. You know, there are a few naysayers here and there, but by and large, what I found about St. Louisans are that they really are eager to learn and to interact with people, and so that's the good thing, especially the young people. I think that, as we know, the young people are the future, and I see among the young people a stronger desire to be connected, particularly with people who are not necessarily just like them. You know, some of it is Facebook, some of it is just you can have friends overseas and have instantaneous conversations with people in Russia and in Latin America and stuff, and you get on airplanes much easier than we do and travel internationally, and so the globe is smaller to you than it is to people of my generation and older, where even air travel was a little bit limited. So you know, things are changing. Maybe they're not changing as quickly as they should in some cases, but they are changing.